Hello and welcome back to the 00 Railway. Now, those of you who've seen previous videos on this channel will be familiar with this site. This is my 3-rail Marklin turntable, and over the years, I think about 20 years I've had this thing, it's given me some service and some grief. And in a previous video, I think we showed it going. It moved in one direction under the power of its original motor, which we've had to remove. And later on in this video, you'll see a discussion about why it had to be removed. It essentially failed, but we'll go into the reasons for its failure. And with a friend of mine who's a great deal more skilled in electronics and a few other things than I am, we've come up with, or rather he's come up with, and I've been the beneficiary of this solution. Now, what you can see, the we've got an 8F sitting on one of the spurs. But let's focus in on what's going on here. Now, this is severely stripped down. We've taken a lot of parts off this, kept them all, because this can be reconstituted at any time, and we've put in a new motor, and that's sitting in a 3D printed housing that you can see there. And it is attached to the original armature, which has the gears necessary to drive all the bits and pieces of this somewhat complicated turntable. Now, all of this can be removed. The armature can be put back in the original housing, and the whole thing can be screwed back together. So no serious violence was done to this. What it has allowed us to do, however, is to get a reliable operating turntable. We have a few things that we need to attend to. One of which is to do something about the little shed that sat over the original mechanism. This is no longer large enough, so a 3D print is being made, and it will sit over the entire housing here. So the other part of this is the control, and this is where my friend Oscar's humour comes into play. So forgive all the wild wiring. We're still working on this, but here's the control. The Control-O-Matic 6000, which he printed up, and which houses all the circuitry that runs this thing. And as you can see, we've got 4 controls: fast forward, slow forward, fast backward, slow backward. We're not quite sure from which perspective forward and backwards is, maybe clockwise and anti-clockwise, who knows. Anyway, this works, and it works wonderfully. It's quiet, or quieter than the original. And as I say, we're going to open this up at some stage and have a look inside at what he's done. Anyway, let's see this thing go. So, fast forward is here. Fast backward. Now, it's not entirely quiet, but it is a great deal quieter than the original. Now, once we get to a position like this, we can, if we choose, push the slow button, and you'll see how this can be lined up really well with any track. Now the other thing that we have managed to preserve, despite having stripped out so much of the mechanism, is that once the bridge here is lined up with any track, that track is energized, and we'll show you that in a little while. Anyway, so the next thing that you'll see is the innards of the Control-O-Matic 6000, and that I hope will prove interesting. I'll get my friend to explain it rather than my trying. So, I'm here in the office with the person who made all of this possible. This is the innards of the control mechanism, or the new control mechanism for the turntable. And Oscar, the guy who made this, is sitting here, so I'll get him to just explain a few bits and pieces of it.
Well, it uses an Arduino and 4 buttons to control a DC motor, and it has a motor shield on top of the Arduino, so there's 2 circuit boards, and once it gets a signal from one of the buttons, it's programmed to move the motor at a certain speed and direction.
And we've got 4 buttons, so what have we got here?
Forwards fast and forwards slow, and then backwards fast and backwards slow.
And because it's round, we can never tell which way is backwards or forwards.
Yes.
So
one direction or the other direction.
One direction or the other direction. Okay. And this replaces an almost entirely mechanical system. And Oscar also tried to get the original motor going. Can you remember what was wrong with that original motor?
It didn't work.
It didn't work. Yeah. To expand on that, it's got a funny coil. Can you?
It's a non-permanent magnet AC motor.
Yeah, and of course I was running it on DC power, which it's capable of doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, I think you found a flaw in the magnet.
Yes.
Yeah, or the coil, rather. And so when we tried to fix that, what happened?
Oh, it didn't work.
So you keep saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We added a new motor.
Yeah, we've added a new motor. And I'm just trying to remember, because it's a while ago. We've been working on this for months and months and months, or rather Oscar has. Didn't the motor overheat?
Yes. It got to 78 degrees.
That's 78 degrees Celsius. When we had new magnets in there, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll see in the next, in one of the parts of this video, because it's going to be edited, exactly what we did, or rather what my friend here did, because I have done almost nothing except donate the turntable as a test bed for his ideas, which have turned out to be really, really successful. You'll see what he did, or you will have seen what he did, by the time we get to the end of this video. So here we have an 8F sitting on the turntable. It's run in from the main line here, and what we're going to do is we're going to move it round onto a spur. So here goes, fingers crossed. Now this is the fast button, and once we get to about there, if we want to, we can do this, and we can get that to a point where it's a nice easy run off. Now all I've got to do is turn the controller the right way. There we are. And what you'll see is that neither of the other engines on here moved, only this one, and so that's where we're at with this. And the next thing will be to wire all this in properly, get rid of all these clips and so forth, and just make sure that we've got a continuous power supply here. We're having a little bit of trouble with the connections from the bridge here to this deck, and at the moment we've just got a bit of electrical tape holding that down, keeping the pressure on that. But once we resolve that, everything should run smoothly.